Hello, folks. Welcome to the Crime Dog Podcast. Your host, Johnny Furica, sitting alongside me tonight, my trusted co-host, David Simpson. We're not going to go through our stats relative to our careers. We're both retired RPD cops, Rochester, New York. Our trusted co-host, Jason Blanchard, is not with us tonight for reasons known to all. We've said it a million times, but this is a current incident that we're going to address tonight relative to a major incident that happened in Rochester, New York this evening or this afternoon. So therefore, Jason's not part of the pod like we have done in the past. Folks, let's talk about an incident that happened in Rochester, New York today. And it doesn't matter that this is Rochester, New York. You could throw a blanket over this incident, and it could be any city in any metropolitan area in the United States. So forget about the timeline. Forget about the line that it's Rochester, New York. This is what's happening all over America right now. Okay. So here's what happens today. Rochester, New York, Rochester police officers chase ended in a fatal crash. So what ended up happening, RPD cops responded around 3:15 to Mariah Street for shots fired, right? Mariah Street is spelled like Maria, so don't be looking and Googling it. It's not Mariah Carey, it's Maria. So Mariah Street, 13-year-old suspect tried to drive away in a stolen car. Beautiful, nice. But he crashed, prompting a foot chase. So the suspect then jumped into, guess what? Another stolen car. Guess what? It was a Kia. Shocking, right? With two other males inside. So these teenagers, they range from 13 to 18. It's our understanding right now. Chase pursued. RPD chases them per their pursuit policy. The chase ends in a suburb that is very adjacent, very close to the city of Rochester. It's called Brighton, New York. And of course, the chase ended when the suspect vehicle, which was southbound, struck a car that was turning onto the street. And the three teenagers were taken into custody. But guess what happened? They turned into a car and killed one of the occupants in the vehicle. Disgusting. Okay, this whole incident is disgusting, and this is why we're going to address it tonight. We have so many things to unpack here tonight. David, the first thing we're going to unpack is the fact that we have a 13-year-old kid in a shots fired incident in the city, and we all know Mariah Street, right? I did all my street time in that area. It is a very, very depressed area of the city. It is very hard. I'm going to be very politically correct. It's very depressed. Let's just put it that way.
It's the gut.
It's the ghetto. Okay. Let's just call
it
the
ghetto. It's the gut. Whatever you want to use.
Okay. It's a very dangerous area. We have a 13-year-old kid, David, shots fired incident, jumps in the car, crashes the car. And it's my understanding too, that I don't even know if it's being reported. They try to run over a couple of our brothers and sisters from the RPD prior to the chase, which is effing totally disgusting. Okay. But the age of the kids, the crimes that they're committing, the total lack of human life and respect for our society, where are we going with this? You know what I'm saying? Let's just start there.
Yeah. I always fall back on the policies of the day, but I feel like these things are over time have evolved to the point where these individuals, these 13-year-olds know that nothing's really going to happen to them. And they know that nothing's going to happen to them from the standpoint of they're not going to go to jail ever. So they're pretty much free to do anything they want. And then from the standpoint of the chase policies that some of these municipalities have, the kids know that they can try or attempt to get away. So they're emboldened to try to run because of these chase policies. If you're in a situation where the state police could chase or another agency could chase where they didn't have policies of they're going to terminate chases, I don't think some of these kids would try to flee in a vehicle. But they know that these chases will be terminated 90% of the time.
Right. And that person that was deceased tonight, unfortunately, our hearts go out to their family. May God bless them in their time of turmoil. It's just so sad that person woke up this morning not even expecting anything but to have a great day. It was a beautiful day. It was a sunny day. All of a sudden, they're not here with us anymore. That's disgusting, number one. Number two, the fact that person that's deceased, okay, and I'm not just going to hammer politicians. I'm going to hammer anybody that's in or for criminal justice reform. They are for it. If you're for criminal justice reform, well, it's bail reform, raise the age, the parole reforms, all that BS that's out there right now. If you're for it, I will tell you right now, this person, okay, they didn't die in vain. We have to make sure that we keep reminding people that they're not just a statistic. Because people that are for bail reform, they'll throw stats like, well, we've only had so many murders in 2019 or 2020. We had X amount of murders, and those murders and those violent crimes, and they'll start rattling off stats. So this, to people that are pro criminal justice reform, this person that's deceased today will just be another statistic, a stat, a number. And it'll be a number because they'll say, oh, well, the crimes are lower and they're low. But everything is BS, man. These kids are getting away with murder, literally getting away with murder. And you saw it today. Okay, they're going to get charged. But because of our bail reform and our horrible laws in New York State, these kids eventually are going to slap on the wrist. I guarantee you, they're not going away forever. Okay, their attorneys are going to say it was like a reckless act, not intentional, blah, blah, blah. These kids need to pay the price, okay? And I'll tell you another thing what pisses me off. Where are the parents? When the politicians and the people that are pro-criminal justice reform, they're for it. Where are they barking at the parents? Where are they telling the parents, hey, put your kid in line. Put your dangerous criminal kid in line, okay? Where are the parents? Where are the criminal justice people that are pro-criminal justice reform? Where are those people saying to the families, your parenting led to this, by the way. Newsflash. God, is that a shock? Your parenting led to what happened today. Okay? Bad choices that you made in life, poor choices that you made, lack of supervision for these kids. And now here's what you have. You have a 13-year-old thinking that it's okay with his other teenage buddies that they could run over or try to run over our cops, do a shots fired, multiple stolen cars. It's my understanding, and I could be wrong, this is all preliminary information, but apparently there might have been possible weapons that might have been thrown or strewn from the stolen cars that they were in. We haven't confirmed that, so I don't want to go full throttle on the possession of the weapon issue. But where's the parenting with these teenage kids thinking that they can do this in America, in a city? Where's the parenting? Who's holding the parents liable? Who's holding them responsible? Certainly not the politicians, because they're looking for a vote. Certainly anybody that is pro-criminal justice reform, anybody that wants to sit up there on their high horse and make this person that died today just another statistic, you're disgusting. You disgust me. You disgust the Crime Dawg podcast. You disgust David. You disgust our producer, Danny, who I know supports us because I could see him in a panel on the right shaking his head, yes. You disgusted me today. I'm thoroughly disgusted because this is what's going on in America. Like I said in the beginning of the pod, folks, you could throw a blanket over this incident. It's happening all over the country in major metropolitan cities. They're having police chases, shots fired, teenage kids doing whatever the hell they think they could do. We need laws. We need stricter laws. We need to go back to the old school ways. We need to take control because in order to take control, then what will happen is once the control is given back to the cops and let them do what they do best, then we're going to have some civil rest, not unrest like we're having right now.
Yeah, Johnny, one thing I want to point out is that it seems that these politicians, locally especially, always want to come to the defense of the criminal, whether they be a 13-year-old or a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
And they come to them. But these victims that die in Maplewood Park or on Hudson Avenue or in Brighton after a car chase from fleeing felons, those victims, I never hear them besides this with a megaphone talking and trying to pander to their voters. Like there's never any true heartfelt concern, empathy for the victims.
Yeah.
It always seems like that is geared towards the criminal. I just never understand how the Democratic Party became the violent criminal loving party. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I never will understand it.
Yeah.
There's things in politics I get. I get the angle. I get the schmooze. I get where you're coming from. I can see where you're trying to get. I never will get that. I will never get how a man dies and they're going to come to the defense of a 13-year-old and talk about his upbringing, but they'll never mention the damn victim.
Yeah.
They'll never show any concern from him. They'll never mention the victim in Maplewood Park, but they'll talk about the criminals and how, poverty and education and the school system and all this led to this, but they won't talk about the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never understand that. I wish someone could explain why the benefit of the doubt and the flavor now is for pro-criminal and the Democratic Party and not for the victim. I don't understand why victims don't get cared about.
Right. And let me be very clear on something. We are totally, our hearts, and I can't say it enough, are with the family of the deceased individual that unfortunately passed away today. Our hearts are with them. We're not trying to use this as a platform to try to get clicks on our part. If you watch any of our videos, we usually try to address fresh incidents like this. But here's what I have to say, David. You're 100% right. Where's Stanley Martin? Where's Mary Lupian?
You'll never hear from him, Johnny.
Where's Damon Meeks?
You'll never hear from him, Johnny. You'll never hear from him.
I'm asking, so they're the first ones to grab a microphone when our cops allegedly do something wrong.
Or Mr. Meeks, right?
Yeah, Damon Meeks, Mary Lupian, Stanley Martin. They all got a microphone in front of them, but where's the microphone? Where are they standing in front of the microphone when they're supposed to? They're supposed to be representing the community. Well, the cops are the ones keeping your constituents safe. So where are these politicians? Because we've all seen that. Our brothers.
But if they
sisters.
wanted the body-worn cameras from something, they'd be screaming their ass off, right?
Right, but where are they? Like our brother and sister officers almost got run over today, or tried to run over and killed. Right? Okay, they try to get run over. We got a 13-year-old. Where are they talking about? Why aren't they talking about what we're talking about right now? Why don't they get in front of a camera and talk about how these kids, how the families need to step up, supervise children? Huh? Where's Mary Lupian? Where's Stanley Martin? Where's Damon Meeks? Where are you? Where are you? Yeah, exactly. You're nowhere. You're nowhere because you only get in front of a camera when it suits your style. And by the way, I mentioned all three of your names. You're welcome. Reach out. Everybody has our contact information.
Come on the pod.
Come on the podcast. Come on the podcast. Make yourself known. If you think that you have a message to send to my brothers and sisters, I'll tell you what. You could come on the podcast. We will we'll bend over backwards for any of the three
Absolutely. And Johnny,
mentioned.
you know it. Rachel Barnhart at least had the balls to come on our podcast.
Right. We had Rachel.
I'll always have a little respect for her because she had the balls to come on the podcast and sit down with us with not an entourage and sit down with it. But those other three will never be seen.
Right. And by the way, I'm just mentioning them because they seem to be the ones who are always in the media, who are always like, oh, from the RPD specifically, right? Oh, the cops did this wrong. Cops did that wrong. Dave Smith did this wrong. Blah 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 blah. That they have opinions on everything. Well, where's their opinion on this? Okay. And by the way, here's what my offer is to them three and any other politician that has a differing view. Come on. I know this seems like we're kind of hyped up right now, but we're only hyped up because this is BS. When you have a 13-year-old kid go out there and literally him and his little teenage buddies wreak havoc in literally two different cities or two different towns in a close proximity to one another, and you have one individual that's killed that shouldn't have been killed, yeah, we get a little jazzed up. I will say this again. The three politicians that we mentioned, you're welcome to come on. We're not going to be aggressive. Come on the pod. Enough's enough. Let's have a cop. And by the way, day, night, we're available anytime you want. If you are against what we're saying, come on and make a point to us. Because I'll tell you what, this is nonsense. No matter what side of the aisle you are on, whether you're Republican or you're a Democrat, something's got to give. Dialogue needs to be said. I'll tell you right now, I had a great lunch, David, last week. Great lunch. Friends of the podcast, not going to name.
Where'd you have lunch?
Charbroil Restaurant. I had a great lunch with some friends of the pod. I'm going to tell you right now, they're very pro law enforcement. They had a lot of positive things to say about the podcast, and they did critique us in some ways, which I appreciated, to the point where they also gave us some information that would give us some knowledge, specifically centering around criminal justice reform. But the thing is that's what I'm saying. We're reaching out. We're trying to reach out. We're doing long form interviews with people from all different walks of life, from all different beliefs. I want to have a dialogue with anybody that has the chutzpah, that has the balls to come on our podcast. You know what I'm saying? Listen, at the end of the day, man, what it comes down to is this podcast. We have to address it. We have to talk about it because I'll tell you right now that happened today has to stop.
Johnny, one thing.
Stop. Yeah.
One thing. They're going to blame the police.
Oh.
You watch. They're going to blame the police for this. The police did nothing wrong. The police chase bad guys.
Oh,
the police chase violent criminals.
Yeah.
And they chase them till they catch them.
Right.
And what happens as a result of the fleeing of the felon or the criminal or the violent criminal is the problem of the violent criminal, not of the police.
Right.
The police did their job. The police risked their lives to try to protect the community. The bad guy is at fault. Make no mistake about it. The bad guy's at fault.
Right.
So don't even start with that about the police were somehow in the wrong and they should have let him go. This is a violent fleeing felon, whether he's 13 or 30, and they chased him like they should have, and he chose to keep going and he killed somebody. It's on him.
Right. And by the way, who else is gonna put this little crime spree to an end? Who's gonna do that? The cops do it. We're the ones who run towards things. We don't run away. When you have shots fired in the ghetto, people scatter like a rock in a pond. Not the cops. Not the cops. My brothers and sisters and us, we run towards the shots fired because we have to go protect any innocent people that are around there or got trapped in that area. That's what we have to do. That's our job. And then, by the way, when we catch a suspect or try to nab a suspect and he or she runs away, you bet your ass we're going to chase you. You bet your ass we're going to chase you. And we're going to chase you. And if you're driving a car, we're coming after you. And if you're driving a car and you crash it, we're still coming after you. And when you jump into another vehicle, we're coming after you because we don't know where you're going or if you're going to continue this crime spree. It today, unfortunately, ended with somebody's death, and that's very unfortunate. Okay? But these kids, these 13-year-old men, okay, these 13, I shouldn't call them kids because, what do we always say? You want to act like a man, we'll treat you like a man. You want to flee? We're coming after you. We're gonna catch you. And in this instance, it is unfortunate. But God forbid, if we don't chase this car, what are they going to do next? Drive into area suburbs like Brighton, Pittsford on the east side where they were heading to do another robbery, to another carjacking? I mean, nobody knows. Unfortunately, it ended with somebody's death. That's horrible, and I can't say that enough. However, we have to chase. In instances like these, we have to chase. It has to be put to an end. Folks, listen. I know it's funny. I told the producer, I said, Danny, it's going to be a quick one. It's going to be a 12, 15 minute. I'm a liar when it comes to that BS because, I start talking about something that I'm passionate about. I start talking about police work that I do know a little something about. And when I say a little something, I mean a lot. And same thing with David and my other co-host, Jason. So, we know a lot about police work, and we're going to tell you how much we know about it when instances like these come up. We've been involved in car chases. We've been involved in foot chases. We've been involved in fights. We took down people with guns and drugs and you name it. Okay? So that's why you come here to listen to real cops, real talk. Okay? That's what we're all about. And you can go look at our YouTube page at Crime Dawg Podcast. You can check out our website, thecrimedogpodcast.com. We have a library of videos on both places. We hope you liked this episode. If you did, like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We hope you stick with us for future episodes. But like my brother-in-law, Frankie Grassi, says, if you can't make it, who cares?